On this episode, we give our reactions to AJ Styles joining the WWE, overall Rumble and Raw impressions, The Rock segment with The New Day, Triple H as the new WWE Champion, and more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what's going on? You're listening to episode 127 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, a place where we talk about the WWE and the square circle that they have, in which 30 men were in it this past Sunday. So thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com. Now, if you want videos, I'll keep saying it till I die. Ryan singing Tyler Breeze's theme. That is a thing that is factually out there. Head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And joining me, despite the weather, despite all the obstacles that I actually don't know if they're obstacles or not right now, but we'll find out. Boston, Massachusetts, Ryan McNulty, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Keith Poshik. How's the weather, guys? Is it Snowmageddon? What are they calling it?
I don't know.
I mean, in Canada, it's just winter. I mean, nothing. Yeah. It's actually kind of nice here right now. It's hitting the low minuses in Celsius, which is like deathly freezing for you guys, apparently. But yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, we had snow this weekend. It was called they name winter storms now, by the way, and they call it Winter Storm Jonas. I assume after the Jonas Brothers.
His name is
it wasn't too bad.
You're right.
Today it's actually
every time somebody mentioned it, I made that joke. I asked, "Is it carrying the will?" And it made me laugh because I'm a child.
Nice. But it's like 40 something degrees out today, almost 50. So it's weird. New England weather is weird. It's very peaks and valleys. It doesn't make any sense.
It's still hot in Puerto Rico, and that's not going to really change. But guys, you know the deal. After a pay-per-view,
speaking of hot,
usually we have a lot to talk about. Now this episode, we have more than a lot more to talk about. So let's do, per tradition, first Royal Rumble. We're going to get to eventually, of course, AJ Styles going into the WWE, Triple H becoming the new champion. But I want to get your overall feedback about the Rumble itself, not just the match, but all of them. We opened up with the last man standing. We got the Divas match. We got the tag team title match. All of that. Did you enjoy it, and why?
I thought it was a really good show. Royal Rumble, as we were talking last week, has burned us in the past, but I think that the way that they set everything up, they did a very good job of keeping you interested right up until the end. So it didn't end in that controversial, crowd completely turning on the show fashion. So, for all of that, I thought it was really good. And the opening match was amazing, and the rest of the matches were okay. I wasn't crazy about the rest of the singles matches. The last man standing and Rumble matches were the big standouts for sure.
Mm-hmm. The other single matches were really sloppy, especially the Alberto Del Rio Kalisto match. I wasn't actually a big fan of their performance.
Yeah, something happened there.
Yeah, Kalisto. I think Kalisto spiking his head. That after that, he was a little kind of shaken up. And even the beginning of the tag match, I felt was pretty sloppy. It just didn't feel like they were kind of, in rhythm or whatever. It definitely picked up at the end, though.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the last man standing match was phenomenal. I loved the Rumble match. It was so good. It was a roller coaster of emotions, and I didn't want to get off when it was over.
Yeah, I really want us to talk about that for quite a bit. But first, let's do two things. I want you guys to name one of your favorite things, or one favorite thing that you really liked, and one that you felt a little bit sour on.
All right, my favorite thing has to be AJ Styles' debut because of just how surreal it was. So I'm going with that. Least favorite thing is probably Roman Reigns exiting the Rumble match and not staying in it the entire time. I thought that was a very cop-out thing to do. If you want people to sympathize with Roman Reigns, he needs to be the Iron Man in the match. He needs to hang in there, hook or crook. I know there was probably some things they wanted to do in the Rumble that they needed Reigns kind of out of the picture, with the dominance of the Wyatt family and things like that. I just didn't like that at all.
Agreed. I have the exact same favorite and least as you, but more specifically with the favorite, it was AJ Styles' entrance, and specifically those few seconds when you weren't 100% sure what was going on, like when the camera was zoomed in on Roman and you could see his face, like, what's going on, and then the crowd starts going freaking crazy, and then you start thinking to yourself, like, is it? No, it isn't, right? And then boom, it's AJ Styles.
It's also Keith's middle finger to squared circle.
Yeah. I mean, I did see that a lot of people disliked that moment, but I thought it was really good, like, micro storytelling for a moment, and I honestly think that's one of the best moments in wrestling in a very long time.
To stop you there for a second, I think the whole Titantron and all of that would have spoiled the moment of him immediately walking out. Instead, they focus on Reigns. You hear this music and you're just kind of confused. You're like, what's going on? All of a sudden you hear the crowd roaring, and then
you hear them going crazy, and that really helps, like, accentuate the moment. Like, they know something freaking crazy is going on. AJ, what's happening? Like, boom. Yeah. So that was awesome. And yeah, like Roman being out of the Rumble, like you mentioned, I understand why with the whole Wyatt family thing, but that's really stupid. You make it all one versus all, like, but Roman's not even in half of the Rumble. That seems like a very weird decision. Just have him come in like number 20 or whatever, whenever that Wyatt stuff is over and done, and then you don't have to work around it.
Yeah, they definitely could have done way better things with that. It was lazy how they just had him go out there. And I know a lot of people were saying they should at some point apply some kind of rule. Like, are you out of the Rumble for more than a minute or something out of the ring? Then you're disqualified, because what is the reason why do wrestlers even run towards the ring for that matter? It makes no sense, right? Ideally, they would want to just take their time and all of that. When it comes to favorite thing, I'm going to have to say it's the Rumble match, all of it. I can't pick one specific thing, but we had the segment or the moment between Wyatt and Triple H, just AJ Styles, the goosebumps that happened. When Roman Reigns got eliminated, and all of a sudden you sort of knew what was going to happen, but it was still nice that we didn't get the obvious last two guys, because they could have easily gone down that route. When it comes to the least favorite thing on the overall show, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. I'm super upset that Ryan and I have been more of the advocates for the past couple of weeks about the storyline, about it unfolding, but just the way everything happened. There was something weird with that match. We've seen these two pull off amazing matches in NXT, on Raw for that matter, but something didn't click here. Then Becky Lynch didn't win, but then Sasha Banks came out and just literally kicked Becky Lynch to the curb, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I had in my head, so maybe I set up myself to be disappointed like this, but I had in my head, and I talked about it last week, so Becky Lynch, this is her moment, then maybe they can have a multi-diva match at WrestleMania or something, but now you just all of a sudden switch this. Why? Like, Becky is the ultimate babyface. She's right there, but now it seems like the focus was just magically shifted to Sasha, and that confused me a lot.
I mean, there's still plenty of story to be told, you know? This isn't the end. It did seem at the time that Becky was just totally cast aside, and the way that she lost was dumb, with the blazer going over her head, and
that was dumb.
Just kind of really stupid stuff that makes, you know, Becky look kind of bad in the way that she keeps losing because of interference and stuff like that. But as we kind of saw on Raw, not to jump too far ahead, you know, Becky still looks to be in the picture.
Absolutely. And another moment in that match that I loved, I hated it at first, but it was well justified, is the whole Ric Flair kissing Becky Lynch. I loved it because, like, oh my God, at first I thought, oh my God, that's disgusting. Then it was justified. Well, he was a kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, so on and so forth. And I thought to myself, oh yeah, I guess so. It was
unexpected nowadays. Maybe you would see that in the Evolution era, but now where everything has to be all PC,
that's
it's like
Flair doing the most Flair thing possible. Yeah, let's be
pretty
real.
Much.
Okay, so we got to talk for at least a couple of seconds about the Last Man Standing match. Ryan, you brought up that basically the first and last match of the show were the show stealers. I think they were both great for their own respective ways, but what a way to just kick off the show. I mean, these two guys pulled out a great match, and possibly one of the most violent matches in the PG era that we've seen for the past year or two. What did you guys enjoy the most about that? Or I guess, how did you feel about Dean Ambrose being so motivated to maintain his status as a champion, as he one point during the match yelled out, like, that's why I'm the Intercontinental Champion. And it was great. A champion that wants to defend his championship.
Yeah, and the Intercontinental Championship has been in a pretty good place since Owens has won it, and then it went to Ambrose. Like, they've made it feel really important, and having matches like this, big, gimmick type matches where they actually really go all out, it makes the Intercontinental title feel even more important. And these guys, like, maybe it's not the most, the greatest, like, 5-star classic, super amazing storytelling, and it was kind of just somewhat of a spot fest. It was just really fun and stayed interesting the whole time. And there was still a story being told there. And they kept it interesting, The pile of chairs thing, I'm glad they didn't. It looked like they were going to go to that whole, I'm going to just throw you onto a pile of chairs. But yeah, I liked how they did the stacking them up and in different ways. And even like Owens, like, it was almost kind of a head chair shot when Ambrose just threw that chair.
Yeah, right. Absolutely a head chair shot.
Is that like a loophole that they can get away with? But it was pretty crazy. I mean, it kind of reminded me of like an ECW type thing where they would just. It was the softest
way they could do a chair shot to the head, but yeah, it was still weird because you're just used to, by default, either the chair gets hit to the gut or to the back, and that's it.
But it was great just to have the classic, like, set up, tease the double stack table, but don't do it right away, and then you come back to it for a great finish to the match.
Mm-hmm. I think the key word, like you said, Ryan, was fun. They started out fun. They went right to the outside, and then Owens got that little cheap shot on Michael Cole, which I absolutely love, and apparently broke his glasses. I didn't even notice that
until after the fact, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. And just kept it fun and exciting. I guess being a little smarky, I'm like, or a few times in the match, I thought, okay, this can't be the end because there's 2 tables set up on the outside. That's obviously going to be the finish. And sure enough, but I thought it was still a fun match.
And the finish itself played out great because both guys looked good. Kevin Owens didn't lose out of being the weaker guy. He lost because Dean Ambrose capitalized on a good opportunity. And then Kevin Owens went to the Rumble and basically stole the show, selling the fact that he was almost a dead guy. Let's actually get to the match. So we know that Roman Reigns is number 1. We got the number 2 entrant. That didn't last really long. All of a sudden, we're thinking number 3, who's it going to be? Then we, as you brought up, Keith, we have the zoom in to Roman Reigns' face. Music plays that we've never heard before. All of a sudden, AJ Styles. Like, I'm actually getting goosebumps saying that right now because this is surreal. Even on Raw, where we saw the versus screen graphic, Jericho versus AJ, it's like, who hacked Raw? This should never be happening here, right?
Yeah, it's like an E-Fed on Raw.
Never has there been a superstar or a new addition to the roster that's felt so surreal to me. Sting was close, but I don't know. It did not feel nearly as weird as AJ Styles being on Raw and just, or WWE TV at all. Michael Cole and, everybody else, like Stephanie McMahon, all these people saying the name AJ Styles is so weird. I'm still adjusting to it.
Yeah, it just feels wrong.
Awesome.
But did you guys like the way they injected him into the roster itself? Number 1 being the number 3 entrant in the Rumble, and then on Raw, just right off the bat, boom, you got your first match there against Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I think it's a great way. Early on in the Rumble was a smart move because I keep stepping on you, Keith, but
it's okay.
If you do it early on, he gets his time to shine because at the end of the Rumble, they got way too much stuff to do.
True.
We know all like the big stuff with Reigns and whatever's going to happen with him is all going down at the end. So it let AJ get the spotlight for a good chunk of time.
That being said, I thought it was a weird decision to have Jericho as the match's Iron Man, not counting Reigns because that's a BS technicality.
Yeah, Jericho technically was as far as being in the ring.
That should have been AJ's spot and a way to really showcase because the WWE universe is vast, right? So not a lot of people actually know who AJ Styles is. In our circles, everybody knows AJ, but the WWE universe is much bigger than that said circle. So there's probably a lot of people going, who the heck is AJ Styles? So making him the Iron Man seemed like a good way to introduce him, but weird that they didn't.
And he has such big shoes to fill. The first thing I did once the Rumble was over is I texted a couple friends, some that I knew that they knew who AJ was, but some that I knew had no idea. And then after the match, the Rumble, it's a good match to introduce him to a point, but it's not like you can really witness all of the abilities. It's more of just this hype, like GBL mentioning that he's a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, same as Brock Lesnar. I thought that was a really
heck
nice
of a
touch.
call.
Yeah. Because then right off the bat, it's like Roman Reigns is looking at this guy like, holy crap, who is he? But then JBL is comparing him basically to Brock Lesnar to a point. The crowd reacted pretty well. It's Orlando, the best place to possibly debut him. But I think Jericho, the whole Rumble thing was a little odd. I enjoyed the whole format, though, because we got Sami Zayn also. It seems like whenever anything negative happened, WWE was like right on the ball. Like, okay, guys, just give me 10 more seconds and you're going to be completely over this. AJ's gone. There's Sami Zayn. It's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That right there.
Seriously, this Rumble match was night and day from last year.
If we want to talk about great moments as well, the fact that Sami Zayn eliminated Kevin Owens gave me hope that, maybe that's a feud that's going to be on the main roster one day. That was really exciting.
Yeah, so many seeds were planted. You have AJ who could deal with Owens, although maybe they're going with some things with Jericho possibly. But then Sami finally got that offense that he needed over Owens. Owens could have become the champion hypothetically, but thanks to Sami, we didn't get that. Now they can just put that feud to the side, and they will always have that to go back to, because it's not like Sami's just on NXT and then a year later it's like, hey, remember me, the guy you injured? He actually got that revenge. Now, when it gets to the end, we actually got a question, I believe it was last week, about the number 30 entrant. It got to a point where it was kind of obvious. You sort of saw what was going to happen. Ryan, can you guide me through that process?
Yeah, I think we got that question from Bridget last week about whether Triple H was going to be number 30 or not. And as expected, he was 30. And we got that face-off. Like, they perfectly set up that face-off between Roman Reigns and Triple H, because they had everyone else kind of out of commission and just had that big moment. And then it was really cool to kind of see, Triple H, we haven't seen him face off with a lot of people. So, getting that face off with Bray Wyatt and stuff, just really cool interactions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And what did you guys feel when Roman Reigns was eliminated by Triple H, knowing that the only other option was Dean Ambrose?
I was like yelling when I jumped out of my chair when Roman Reigns got eliminated.
It was so unexpected.
It was a really cool moment. It was a little dampened for me when Triple H did the suck it. I'm like, okay, you're the CEO. Yeah, you're a COO.
I loved that.
I don't know. It felt a little weird to me.
He was just so amped up when he did that. It was the greatest thing ever.
People forget he's a wrestler first, and I like that. Like he has a moment to just take the suit off and just be himself, right? But then you see it's Ambrose and Triple H. The crowd is popping. Let's just get right to the conclusion then. Dean Ambrose gets eliminated. Triple H is your new, I cannot believe I'm saying this, your new
it's
WWE.
Not 2003. Yeah. It's 2016.
Where's Batista? He's your new champions, guys. Keith, Ryan.
I had a serious issue when Triple H won the title. He didn't point to the sign. The fireworks went off. He didn't point to the WrestleMania.
The circumstances are sort of different.
It doesn't matter. You win the Rumble, you point to that damn sign.
If Del Rio had to do
law.
It, Triple H has to do it.
Exactly. Orton did it. So many people point to that sign. Everybody points at the sign.
But it's different because at that point in time, we did not know that he was guaranteed to go to WrestleMania.
Doesn't matter. You point to the sign.
Regardless, they had the sign
Keith.
In the shot.
Yeah, regardless, Keith. How do you feel about it, though? Triple H represents the company not just as, part of the authority, but he's the champion.
I think it's great that Triple H is champion. I legitimately love the fact that Triple H is champion. It sets up a real good narrative going into WrestleMania, because let's be real. It's going to be Triple H versus Roman Reigns, right? There's no really other option.
You never know. Yeah.
No, but it sets up a really cool narrative of making Roman seem like the underdog. So maybe this is the push to finally beat the tyranny, beat the evil, and make Roman seem legitimate that he needs. And I like it.
Triple H as champion, I think it's the best route to go for the story they're going to tell with Roman Reigns. My only issue with it is that I'm a little over Reigns chasing the title. But going into WrestleMania, that's always the bigger story than kind of the big babyface going in defending. WWE likes the chase. And if you want to go with the chase, you got to have the biggest bad guy versus the biggest good guy. Now, on paper, that is the truth. Maybe not in reality with as far as who the fans take to the most. But Triple H is without a doubt the biggest bad guy in the company right now. And Reigns is the guy they want to be the biggest good guy. So this is the best way to tell that story.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head where that is the story they're going to tell. And they're telling it pretty well. When you think of the circumstance, you basically inject yourself as a number 30 because you're the authority. You have the power to do that. You take the guy out. You have the championship yourself. He cuts that promo on Raw where he justifies that. It's not that he has to become champion. He just wants to. That's it. He has the power to really do that. They actually upped the ante a little bit, on contrary to what happened with Daniel Bryan. Triple H was a stepping stone for Daniel Bryan. And here, Triple H is the guy that they want to beat. You have to beat him because he's the champion. Now, I'm not really caring too much about that storyline, but, and this is where WWE is really smart, because the main event scene is basically Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Triple H, right? But then you look at the IC title scene, and that thing is packed. Like, you have Dean Ambrose, you have Kevin Owens, you have the possibility of a Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, the other guys that have yet to show up. But there are so many things that you feel invested in. You saw the Last Man Standing match that what I think WWE is basically saying, for the mainstream, you have Reigns. If you like him or if you like Triple H, because a lot of people love that. A lot of people love the fact that Triple H won. Like Facebook, everybody that used to watch the Attitude Era, sadly, they went back to that well, but it is working and they're getting to watch the show. But then if that's not your cup of tea, say you don't care about the main title feud, you go a notch down. You have Kalisto as one champion. You have Dean Ambrose as the other one. You have New Day down there. On contrary to before, the other WrestleManias have been, there's the title match and then throw a ladder match or throw something else down there, right? But it feels like all of it can be pretty stacked. That's
how you make a watchable 3-hour show, by having something for everybody that's exciting.
I was going to say 4 hour if we're talking WrestleMania, but...
Yeah, no, I meant like if you keep those levels even on Raw, that's how you make the entire experience watchable. But kind of contrary to your point, Juan, aren't they going the opposite direction by kind of jumping ahead here by making Dean Ambrose in the main event of Fastlane, where you're kind of taking that whole IC title picture you've built and shuffling it to the side for the time being because, now Dean Ambrose is in the main event?
I actually see that as a good nod. You know, we've had Dean Ambrose as the last person eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and now he's going to be in a number one contenders match to main event WrestleMania. I think that makes your Intercontinental title look really good, and probably the strongest it's looked in a while, because this title's in an important feud and it's being defended, and then the guy who has it is being positioned in kind of really key spots that make him look good, and I think that elevates the title.
Yeah, because before, the IC champion or the US champion would be injected into another storyline, but they would never reference the title. Dean is a proud champion, and let's be honest, this is their way of stretching out the time between Rumble and Mania, because they probably want to save whatever match Ambrose is going to have for Mania. So this is like the perfect justification. Hey, he could be a dual champion going towards WrestleMania, or end WrestleMania as a dual champion. Is it going to happen? Probably not. And by probably, I mean, there's no way that's going to happen. But that's actually the conversation I want to have now. So the speculation was, what's going to happen, right? We end Rumble, Triple H is champion. how do we know who's the next number one contender? But then they immediately say, yeah, so this is going to be a main event at Fastlane, but then everybody tonight has got to show off, and then we will book the match for Fastlane. It's sort of, they sort of did ignore that, because at the end of the day, they just
hilariously dumb. It was, let's see what the Authority can do. Let's see if you can impress the Authority. Everyone has their matches. Some of them have impressive matches. They wanted. You get impressive victories from these guys, and they're like, yeah, thanks for impressing us tonight. We're going to throw in that guy who wasn't even here tonight. And then, you guys won the main event, so we're just going to throw you in. It made kind of no sense, especially because they're trying to get Roman Reigns away from the title. Yet they just gave him another shot. Why? I was kind of thinking before that moment on the show, I was like, how are they going to give Roman Reigns that shot again? Why not do a rematch clause? Can't he interject himself into that match being like, hey, I still have my rematch clause? And they're like, all right, well, we'll honor that by putting you in the triple threat or something. Just a little bit, more logic.
They made it really weird considering Vince McMahon's promo at the start of the night where he's like, yeah, Reigns is done. He's broken. And then at the end of the night, I guess he's in the main event. It was, it seemed very weird and disjointed.
I guess we'll give him a shot to main event our biggest show of the year.
Because why not? There's so many better ways they could have went about it.
We definitely still hate him.
They had The Rock on that show. You could have had The Rock come out. Wouldn't be the first time that he's put over Roman Reigns. Have The Rock hold the show hostage until Roman gets in the main event. Something like that. Like you mentioned, a rematch clause. Have Reigns interject himself into that. There's so many better ways it could have went instead of, hey, show off your skills, but we're going to give a title shot. Or 33% of the main event wasn't even on the show, nor anywhere near close. Okay, thanks, bye.
If there's one thing we've learned about WWE is that asking for logic is asking far too much.
True.
Seems like that should be a t-shirt. Anyway, at least for me, I think it's going to be an enjoyable match because you have Lesnar being involved in there. And Lesnar it's interesting. He's involved in the product more than he's ever been in the past couple of years. Yet he's easily the most forgettable guy out of these three. His appearance in the Rumble, he was strong and powerful, but he seems like the afterthought in this whole process. He's maybe the guy that the Authority's injecting just so Reigns doesn't win at Fastlane. Because let alone, we're talking about Roman Reigns being in there. Why is Dean Ambrose in there? That makes even less sense.
To take the pin. That's exactly why Dean Ambrose is in there.
I understand that part, but why would the Authority say, okay, so out of these three guys, we don't like two of them, and the other guy is sort of Brock Lesnar?
I mean, the logic is not there. I mean, even Stephanie hated Brock Lesnar. They had the whole lawsuit, less than a year ago. None of it makes any sense in this situation.
It happened in around 10, 12 months, Ryan. That's forgettable by wrestling standards.
That is an eternity in WWE time.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, none of it made sense. They should have had a number one contenders matches or something like that where their hands were kind of tied and they had to put them in the match.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So before going on any further and talking about the People's Champion, The Rock, showing up on Raw and stealing the show, not Dolph Ziggler, we want to get to a couple of announcements. The first one, this is more of a PSA. You can't say penis on TV, people. You just can't.
I have a question.
What?
Can you say penis on a podcast?
Ryan, can you say penis on a podcast?
I believe you guys just did, so that is up to Mr. Keith whether he wants to edit it or not.
Well, I think we can say penis on this podcast, so we're going to go ahead and say penis on this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to throw it over to you guys. Drop a comment or tweet, Byte That Cast, whatever. Can penises be... No.
Okay.
No, don't... Let's not ask that question. Can you say penis on a podcast? Move on, for the love of God.
Okay, thank you. Okay, weekend video. Ryan posted a Royal Rumble review on the YouTube channel. He talks about the show, recorded it right after. Wow, that almost went too far. Okay, now... this Thursday, we have a new video coming out talking about pet peeves in professional wrestling. Remember, all of this is available on the YouTube channel, so like and subscribe over there. If you're listening to us on the YouTube channel, then hi, how's it going? I hope you're doing great. Now, also another quick piece here regarding the channel itself. You may be noticing we actually have a pretty decent backlog now of different wrestling games that we've been playing. We have a lot of 2K16 videos like the best of fives, which will continue very soon. And Ryan, I don't know if you have ready whatever our stipulation is and your Macho Man thing. We have not forgotten about that. We have 2K14 videos, Def Jam Vendetta, Crush Hour, Day of Reckoning, a lot of good jazz over there. And the other thing is that Lucha Underground starts tomorrow. We're recording on the 26th. Starts January 27th. So look forward to that. And next week, we may have to talk a little bit about something important happening in wrestling, but I'm getting mentally prepared. It's going to be a little bit of a controversial video. It's going to go up possibly not this Saturday, but the next one. I hope you guys support me in this process. Ryan, Keith, and I have taken some time to really think about the best way to present this. So I hope you guys support us in that process. It's going to be in about a week and a half. Now, guys, let's get to positive things, because that was a little too dark, and the other thing was a little too exposed.
Way darker.
Yeah. The Rock showed up on Raw, Miami. People sort of figured it out, right? But I had so much fun watching this Raw. I don't know about you guys. I smiled way more than I have in a very long time. That mixed with the Rumble, outstanding experience. The Rock shows up out of nowhere, interrupts The Miz, celebrates Pat Patterson's birthday, makes the Big Show cry. How do you guys feel?
You can't forget the mustache ride. Jeez, it's the best part.
Yeah. What with the penis thing, I thought I should maybe hold back a little bit.
Indeed.
That was the
Whenever
best
the Rock shows up.
Oh my God, I'm stepping on Keith again.
All right, we can do this, Ryan.
Do you want to go?
You know
what?
Okay.
Go,
You can go.
Keith. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, sir. I was just going to say, whenever The Rock shows up, it is just so much fun, because you know The Rock is bigger than whatever script they give him, and he flexes, yes, brother, and he just flexes that with full force. It was funny. What?
I'm just sorry, my mind's in the gutter.
There. You're still there. But yeah, no, that segment was awesome. The Rock, if a wrestler ever needs to know how to shut down a fan and just make sure that all the attention never goes on him again, they should watch that, or they should put that in some sort of educational video on how to do that. Because God, that was so good how The Rock just shut the Macho Man guy down.
They actually moved those guys because they were in the hard camera and they moved them away from it.
Yeah.
I theorized that something went terribly wrong with the whole Byron Saxton joke. Like maybe Byron was supposed to get on the mic or something and do it doesn't matter what your name is.
It's just a long awkward pause during that.
No, what actually happened, did you guys keep up with what happened regarding the fans? Because there's actually a video of that. So yeah, apparently they were sort of moved away from ringside after a while, because the Macho Man guy was getting up after a while, just sort of posing Macho Man, right? But they started doing the Macho Man chants, and security, one of the producers went over to him. And then the problem was that the people sort of wanted to keep going with that joke. So the guy actually started covering himself up because he didn't want to be kicked out. As far as I know, he wasn't kicked out at the end. But between the producer, The Rock sort of lengthening a segment just because of some fans there.
Well, they started chanting Randy Savage during that awkward moment with The Rock. And that's what led to it.
So a lot of crazy stuff, but how'd you like the behind the scenes part first? What was up with? He had some Red Bulls or something before coming out.
Yeah, this felt a lot more like classic Rock than not the radio station or genre or whatever. That classic Rock just sounds weird. This felt more like old school Rock. You know what I mean? It felt more like Attitude Era Rock. Much better than he's been recently. The jokes, he was on point, really funny. That Big Show thing was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, so
that
good.
Legitimately had me laughing. And Big Show was amazing in that segment, selling that whole thing and crying and breaking the laptop. Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. And then to put the New Day in there, I thought that was awesome, because the New Day and The Rock is an interaction that everyone wants to see, and I thought they did an amazing job with that. And I'm sure the New Day themselves were probably like marking out that they got, they're taking the Rock Bottom and the People's Elbow and getting to do a promo going toe to toe with the Rock. So overall, well done. It was crazy. I mean, they definitely went way over time because that's like the longest segment we've ever seen on Raw in like years that didn't have a commercial break in between. It was pretty insane, but the whole thing I thought was really entertaining.
The props to WWE because both in the Rumble and on Raw, they did a good job of managing crescendo effects. Like with the Rumble, somebody gets eliminated, then, here's something better. Here's something better. With Raw, we had Rock backstage, right? He stole the show with the Lana thing, the Big Show thing, goes over to the ring, steals the show even more, goes off script, the whole Byron Saxton thing, and you think it can't get any better. New Day's music hits. I marked out. Like, I just jumped out of my seat because of the possibilities. I didn't even know I wanted that until the music played.
No, exactly.
And then that whole segment happened. The whole penis thing happened. And it's not because of the whole penis thing. It's because you felt something so organic. You have basically the most organic stable or thing happening in WWE currently versus the most organic thing that happened in the Attitude Era. Altogether, one segment, you could tell it was like maybe they had a couple of deliveries that they had to, work on. But aside from that, it's like, The Rock's out there. He's going to do Rock things like you mentioned, Keith. And it's crazy because if you think about it, he was there for nothing because then afterwards it just ended. So kayfabe-wise, it's like, why was he out there? Like, what would The Rock have done?
Just to say that he was going to be at WrestleMania, I guess.
Pretty much.
And even that was an afterthought because he just said, I'll see you at WrestleMania. It's like, oh, you're going to be there. Okay, that's cool. The New Day thing was awesome.
But it was great because The Rock wasn't just all catchphrases like he can be sometimes. Like he had his catchphrases in there, but he got them in at the right appropriate times. And the rest of it was just him just going off, and it was amazing.
I think it's the backstage part that really sold that, because if we just had The Rock in the ring thing, I think we would have a very different perspective.
It set the tone very well.
And God, it was so good.
And a lot of people have said over time, and we brought it up in the podcast numerous times also, the backstage stuff like that is what makes the product even better. Because as you mentioned, Keith, if he just came out, that would have not been too different than what he's done in the past. But you were built up to it. You saw personality. Before he came out to the arena itself, like to the ring, like his mood, how he was feeling. So you were mentally prepared for what he was going to say. Is what I wanted to say there. Now, the other thing that we haven't had much of a chance to talk about is the social outcast. We had a little bit of a wrap-off on Raw. It was a celebrity overload, I guess. We also had Rick Ross backstage and all of that. But we had Flo Rida.
Or Mark Henry. It could have been either or at this point.
I got confused a couple times. Those beard, though. If I could grow a beard like that, my wife would leave me, but that's another story. Okay, but Flo Rida versus Bo Rida, people. And Bo in a singlet. Can I get a quick comment about that? Bo in a singlet. How do you guys feel about that?
Much like The Rock versus The New Day, you don't realize how much you wanted it until it actually happened.
Yeah.
I think Bo looks great in a singlet.
Yeah, his physique is not exactly the one you want to be showing off. So I think the singlet is a welcomed addition to his gear.
As far as the rap battle goes, if you told me that Bo Dallas would out-rap Flo Rida, I would call you a crazy person. But now, after Raw, I realized that I was the crazy person, because God, he didn't even out-rap him. He outclassed Flo Rida.
It wasn't even close. Like, Flo Rida, he seemed like he was lost and just kind of tripping over his words.
It was bad.
It's
even
like,
he realized it.
This is what you do, man. This is what you do. You're letting Bo Dallas out-rap you with Full House references, which to me, like a Full House reference and a rap is an auto win in my book.
Let's be honest.
It was beautiful.
It was like 90s TV shows. We got a Full House reference and a Family Matters reference with Urkel.
Yeah.
I was so happy. We just needed a Three's Company, and then I was going to be just satisfied. But it really did feel so awkward. Even Bo Dallas, okay, I want to take it back a little bit. They were in Florida, and the Florida crowd at one point was sort of like, can this sort of end already? Because he was not getting any cheers, Flo Rida. And then with Bo Dallas, it was enjoyable.
It's the same thing.
But Yeah, not sure why that happened. Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
It's kind of like, it doesn't even matter if it's a celebrity's hometown or not. It's like, people just don't really like celebrity guest appearances unless they are executed very well.
True.
They're generally frowned upon by the crowd.
And that was not executed well.
At all.
I said, Bo Dallas did a great job. So it ended up being very entertaining because of that.
Even the match, like that moment where the Dudley Boys forgot who was the legal person.
Guy, yeah.
Man, do you guys feel like there is just something off with the Dudley Boys during this run? They've been like botched left and right. They have moments like that. It's
the
just
best Dudley Boys aren't
off.
PG Dudleys. The best Dudley Boys are riot-inducing, Bubba Ray, flat out being offensive, and they've stripped all that away. Even the whole get the tables, they got to do a countdown. Why?
Yeah,
that whole thing's been questionable.
They've fallen into the typical WWE stuff, which, like, I know things have been brought up before about, wrestlers nowadays pandering to the crowd to get a reaction instead of, having the crowd, react.
Just doing them and then having react.
Having it naturally come about instead of pandering to them. And it kind of makes me sad that the Dudleys have, I can't talk today, but the Dudleys have fallen into that because these are longtime veterans that should know that they don't need to pander to the crowd. They'll come along, And
Ryan, it's not that you can't talk. You're adopting Bubba Ray's ECW stuttering gimmick. So that's
true. But one thing
justified.
I wanted to bring up, because I wasn't sure if we were going to get back to it, was the AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho match, because something about that was a little off too. I think at the beginning it was a little kind of shaky, but the one thing I kind of was putting myself into perspective was that AJ is basically coming straight to WWE TV. No NXT. I don't know if he's had like X amount of time practicing with the WWE cameras and all that. He just looked a little lost at the beginning, but obviously putting him in there with a guy like Chris Jericho, he's going to help you kind of get there and have a great match. So I think AJ is going to take some, time to adjust because doesn't have the luxury of getting used to the whole system in NXT. He's, hot-shotted straight to the main roster.
Plus, you don't know how much of a well-kept secret the whole AJ thing was internally, like the fact that it was actually real. For all we know, the Royal Rumble could have been the first time that AJ and Jericho worked together. So maybe they just didn't have a lot of time to really figure out what they were going to do and make sure that their styles, no pun intended, melded to make a really solid match. But if they do go forward with that feud, I feel like we're going to see some pretty dang good matches from those two.
No, the match ended up turning out pretty good.
Yeah, but he's in a tough spot. AJ's about 5'7", and it's not that the height factor is difficult, but you're going in with this insane national, international hype, and people historically are waiting for somebody to fail. It's way more fun to watch somebody fail than succeed. Even in wrestling, that's sadly been the case with people, right?
I disagree with that, but at least for myself personally. Yeah, no,
I agree. But if you look at the reaction online, if you look at even the general reaction in crowds,
there's so much hype that people want to have the power to go,
There's a reason the "you effed up" chant started. Like people like to applaud the mistakes more than the other things, even though we have the "that is awesome" chant and all that now. But I think Jericho was the right opponent right there at the beginning because he's worked the WCW style, he's worked the ECW style, WWE. So it's somebody that can help AJ on the fly. But AJ is sort of jack of all trades, master of none in the WWE. You have high flyers that are awesome like Kalisto, etc. But then AJ, you could tell they're sort of carrying him when it comes to the microphone stuff, like the backstage segment. Before he even had a chance to speak, Jericho comes on. Even after the Rumble, he had like a 30-second thing talking to JoJo. And it's weird that this guy that people have been clamoring to join WWE for years is in the product, but he's not being all mystical or something about it. It just seems like they're just really hiding some things, but those things are what the majority of the crowd pop for. I mean, we saw it with The Rock. It's not about the wrestling always.
I kind of want to take that and look at it in the way that I think they're protecting him in a way that he needs to adjust. The WWE style is different than any other style. Everyone who comes in, guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, when they came in, they were back to basics, learning everything from the ground up to see this is how WWE does things. AJ, like I said, is going immediately to the main roster. So there's a lot of things he has to learn very quickly on the fly. So, I mean, even the promo stuff, all that, I think they're slowly introducing it so that AJ isn't just kind of thrown immediately into the fire,
If you want to see a great example of what you're talking about, go on the WWE YouTube channel, and there's a interview with AJ when he's still in his trailer his bus before he even enters the arena. And for the first half of his interview, he keeps saying the fans want to see me here.
And then he adapted.
And then he changed it to the WWE universe halfway through. So I think that adjustment is absolutely a real thing.
I'm hoping that he does make that transition, though, because we know that the trigger can be pulled very easily. Historically, that has been a thing that's happened. I want to take this conversation more next week because we have SmackDown, we have Raw next week. And now that this whole, oh my God, AJ's and WWE thing is going to be over with because it's going to be a week, what now? There's Fastlane. How is it going to be injected into that? I have no idea. Is it going to be Dean Ambrose, AJ at some point? But I don't know. I'm looking forward to having that conversation, though. One quick thing I do want to bring up. Today marks 2 years since the last time that CM Punk was in the WWE. It also marks 1 year since we had the infamous Raw that was held from the offices because of the blizzard, so Raw had to be canceled and all of that. Any just quick emotional updates about the CM Punk thing? It's been 2 years already.
He's going to be fighting in a couple months, and I'm looking forward to see that. I think the WWE is in his rearview mirror, as it should be, and I'm looking forward to see him fight.
Yeah, I think when the Colt Cabana podcast came out, that was really all the closure I needed with the whole CM Punk situation. Do I miss him in wrestling? Of course. But he's just an interesting guy that I'm going to follow whatever he's doing anyway. And I'm absolutely going to watch his UFC fight. And I'm pulling for him. He really loves UFC, and I want to see him overcome some real odds of trying to find success this late, learning this late in his life.
Now that I think about it, Juan, you sang it best.
Let him go. Let him go. I forgot the lyrics to our own song. What was it, Ryan? What was after the chorus?
Don't chant for him anymore.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, CM Punk walked out the door, I think.
Too much Frozen for me already here. Okay, guys. So, you know the deal. There comes a point in time on the podcast where it's been great, right? We've had all these conversations, but they get even better because of your questions, which you can send on the Twitter at ByteThatCast with the hashtag AskBT. If you're on YouTube, just drop a comment on this very episode. And then if you want to send an email, ByteThatCast@gmail.com. Remember, all of that is with a Y. Why? Because. So, Keith, what do we got?
You lost me there for a second, but nonetheless, questions. First one comes in from NKBE1324 on Twitter, who asks, who do you think AJ Styles should face at WrestleMania?
Daniel Bryan.
Wow, you just went all in there, didn't you?
No, I'll be honest. Okay. So here's the topic we didn't talk about. Daniel Bryan was apparently cleared for a fourth time. I don't think Daniel Bryan has a lengthy career left at all. So what better way to just have this sort of mild fantasy match at WrestleMania than just throw Bryan in there, AJ in there, good guy match, just steal the show. If Bryan has to retire after that, at least he got that one last match. And we got a little bit more closer.
This is a tough one because AJ is a guy I want to see working with people like Chris Jericho, these WWE staple guys that the matches we never thought we'd be able to see, basically. But looking at the list of people, John Cena's on that list, Randy Orton's on that list. I don't know if he worked with Seth Rollins ever in any type of capacity.
Once 10 years ago. A very long time ago.
Okay. those are the type of guys I'd like to see him face, and obviously they are all out of commission for WrestleMania. So I think you just give everybody the complete indie darling Craigasm of a match, which is just, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles.
Oh man.
While I agree with you, I think that Craigasm is going to come in the form of a ladder match. Either the Intercontinental title or the United States Championship. To use Ryan's words, that's just going to be a giant Craigasm for the Indie Darlings.
This could be like the next Unbreakable match. Remember Unbreakable 05, Daniels, Joe, Styles? This could be the next version of that.
Man,
Absolutely.
What a match. If anybody's out there that hasn't seen that match, stop this. Go watch that match. Come back.
TNA Unbreakable 2005. Please look for that. Oh,
Indeed.
So good.
Indeed. So thank you, sir, for the question. Our next one comes in from Robert, who asks, "Hey guys, question for the podcast."
All right.
Can you see John Cena beating Ric Flair's record before he retires?
Absolutely. And I think it's totally okay because nobody's had the sustained run at the top quite like John Cena. The consistent, long run. The guy, he's one of the hardest workers to ever be in the wrestling industry. And even though he's a controversial figure and a lot of people don't like him, you can't help but respect the guy and what a hard worker he is. So I think he will, and he deserves it. And especially Flair, who holds the record, has the utmost respect for Cena. So I'm totally okay with it. And it is an inevitability.
I agree completely. John Cena does not have a lot of more time in wrestling. The injuries keep piling up, and I think that when he does come back, he's going to immediately go towards the title scene and become champion. I think that's okay because it's been a long time since he's just been injected into that realm right there. And yeah, I do think it will happen.
I think putting into factoring where John Cena's in at this point in his career, I got that sentence out. I think he's going to tie it at this point. I don't think he's going to have 2 more title reigns. I think he's probably going to tie it. Him and Flair will set off into the sunset, and that'll be it.
If anything, that will be better. It's like you tie up with the one of the best world champions of all time. That's a pretty good way to close out your wrestling career.
He's
Agreed.
definitely going to break it, I think. When he comes back, he's surely going to have a reign pretty quickly upon returning, I think. And then he's going to probably fall into that Shawn Michaels schedule or that Triple H schedule where they're the feature guy. And he'll probably I think he'll get one more reign when he slows down in that capacity.
When Shawn Michaels was that feature guy, how many title reigns did he have?
Yeah, but hey, Brock Lesnar's kind of got that feature position, and he got the title, and Triple H just got it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, but
it's a rarity.
It's rare, exactly. So thank you, sir, for the question. Our next one comes in from Jack, who asks, "What would your guys' wrestling outfits be?"
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just baby oil.
Oh, no. I can't put more than Randy. For me, it would sort of be similar to what Homicide were. I'm not a fan of tights. I don't think it would look good on those. So probably just like a pair of shorts, Kevin Owens style, sleeveless shirt, something like that. I just like to brawl. So, I guess a hybrid between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. Keith, why are you smiling so much?
So if you wrestled with just baby oil, your wrestling name should be the Mustache Ride. And you should just have a mustache.
Away from that. Okay.
Ryan.
So for my wrestling outfit, first thing to get out of the way, I got to put in tons of... Whoa, hold on. There's
Be careful. What was that?
Sorry, there's a bug or something that just flew by. Anyway. All right. Jesus Christ.
Dodge that bullet, man.
Hold on.
I'll save you, Ryan.
I got to kill a bug right now. Somebody else.
Okay, Keith, real talk here.
Yes.
About almost 2 years ago, you were mauled by a bear. I think this is the bear turned into a bug, tried to kill Ryan.
It's true, couldn't keep me down, so he's going for the next member of Byte That, and did a little bit of shape-shifting, and here's to hoping that Ryan survives this grueling attack.
Ryan's still standing. We're doing play-by-play. This is live, people. This is happening right now. Ryan is moving to the left side.
It looks like he's on the hunt. Oh, he's back in frame here. He's looking up.
He's looking up.
Oh.
He's got a piece of paper in his hand. I think that's the foreign object. Foreign object.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh,
folks.
my God. Okay, he's back, people. Okay, Ryan, what are you wearing then if you were to wrestle?
Okay, are we cutting? Can we?
Nope.
Nope. All right. We're good. Okay. Damn it. For real? We're not?
Yeah. No, this stays.
This is live.
What would you wear if you were a wrestler?
All right, here we go.
It's not live. But.
So first, let's get out of the way. I'm putting in tons of gym time. So that's put aside. I'm in a fantastic shape. I think I'd go the long tights. You get the elbow pads, maybe some taped up hands, and no shirt because I did all that gym time.
Yeah.
Ow. If you asked me this a week ago, I would have had a much different answer, but as of Monday, I believe that Bo Dallas has shown me the light. It's white and blue singlet, baby. That's how to do it. That's how to do it. Bo knows.
Different styles.
Indeed. How's the bug? Did you get him?
I didn't get him, but he's not. Dude, when it rains, these friggin' disgusting beetles, man, come in here and they're
bears, bugs, and I'm next. Hopefully it's not a spider.
Agreed. That would be really bad. But nonetheless, thank you, sir, for the question. Our next one, we're going to give dual credit for this question because that was a weird. Nonetheless, dual credit for this.
Tuesday Night Smackle.
Indeed. The whole bug thing threw me off so bad. But
it threw you off.
Yeah, I know. I had a flow going, and you just ruined my flow.
I almost broke my neck the way I flinched.
And nonetheless, okay. We got pretty close to the same question from two people. Those people get dual credit for this question. And those people are Cody Collier and Edward E. And they ask, do you think it would be possible, depending on how the crowd reacts to Reigns, that Triple H could be champion until Seth Rollins returns?
I think it's very unlikely. I don't see Triple H as a long-term champion. And despite what they think of Reigns, they've already had Reigns with the title, and it hasn't gone that poorly. So I don't see the crowd really falling that ill on Reigns. So I think they're just going to stick with the plan.
I agree. Triple H is a champion for WrestleMania. He serves one specific purpose, and that's to have the title be handed to Reigns. So, no. I think Triple H is going to be far gone from just the wrestling scene by the time Rollins comes back.
Agreed. I think that Triple H is there to play the role of villain for Reigns, and that villain, the WrestleMania main event usually ends up being the story where the good guy overcomes the bad guy, and then we move on into the next year or next season of the WWE, and this is totally going to be that this year for Roman Reigns. So thank you, fellows, for the question. Our next one comes in from Medento Gaming on YouTube, who asks, did any of you guys watch WWE 24 Silicon Valley? If so, what did you think? There was an amazing clip of Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker acknowledging each other before their matches.
I didn't have a chance to watch it, but I know you did.
Yes, I watched it, and Medento is 100% correct. That was an amazing clip. If you haven't check out WWE 24. As always, it's great. It's the exact same format as the WrestleMania 31 that kind of goes through the whole WrestleMania week, then Access, and then the Hall of Fame, and then finally doing a behind-the-scenes look at WrestleMania 31. One thing I found interesting, and maybe it was just a choice on what they chose to shoot for that, but every scene of Roman Reigns was shown with just Roman Reigns. Like everybody else, that was on the WrestleMania card. You saw them interacting with other wrestlers backstage,
One
like John
versus
Cena.
all, man.
I guess so, but like John Cena and Seth Rollins were hanging out, watching Triple H and Sting on the monitor. But every shot of Roman Reigns was just him by himself. It was very strange. Maybe nobody likes Roman backstage.
He walks alone.
But I found that very interesting. But yes, WWE 24, have a watch. Can't recommend it enough.
Awesome.
So thank you for the question. Our next one and final one comes from Marco.
Polo
asks. Wow. Well done, folks. Hey guys, I enjoy listening to your podcast every week on YouTube for about a year, and I like its style and that you share most of your opinions. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question. Why are there super kicks everywhere? Why are there super kicks?
Yeah, way too many of them. Wasn't it on Raw, the Ziggler-Owens match we got? The first move in the match was a super kick. Like on the Rumble, we also got a bunch. I think we talked about this before.
Like, let's break it down. Da-na-na-na. Who do we got using super kicks? We got Owens using super kicks.
Ziggler.
We got the Usos. We have
Ziggler, Del Rio.
Del Rio.
Somebody in the Divas division who I can't think of right now.
Basically, there are over 8 guys. And from all sizes.
How did you get to 8?
Oh, there's a lot because there's Luke Harper, there's Kevin Owens,
Harper,
there's
that's right.
Ziggler. The other guys I already forgot, which we just mentioned. But there's a lot of them. And I don't know because the move lost all significance. Like just completely. It's become as normal as maybe a suplex.
Yeah, it really has. It doesn't hold the same weight, even close to what it used to. And that's kind of becoming prevalent elsewhere too, because we know now Jesus, how am I forgetting their names? The tag team,
Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks. Thank you. They're
Super Kick Party.
That bug got to you.
Yeah, I know that bug's got me all turned around, but yeah, the super kick is just being completely diluted as a move, much like what happened to the DDT. And I mean, yes, they do look cool, but it was nice when that straight kick to the face would end a match.
I think it's a byproduct of this generation of wrestlers growing up being fans of the last generation of wrestlers, because it all stems from Shawn Michaels pretty much, and everybody liked Shawn Michaels back in the day as a wrestler.
At least, 30% of the roster's favorite wrestler was probably Shawn Michaels growing up.
Exactly.
So basically,
and plus,
it's Shawn Michaels' fault.
Yes, yep. And the super kick, more than a suplex, really, is an accessible move that everybody can do. And that's probably why everybody does it, because it's easy.
Is it okay, though, that because it's not necessarily a bad thing or not, but it used to mean so much more.
One of my biggest pet peeves right now is the fact that Roman Reigns and Charlotte use the spear, and I hate that. The fact that 2 champions on the roster use the same move. One of them's a finisher, and the other one is not. It dilutes the move. It makes it less special. And I think the super kick is in that exact same spot.
It's kind of like Bubba Ray doing the rock bottom.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's a little bit more okay that, hey, there's kind of an agreement there that everyone's using the super kick, but nobody's using it as a real finisher. Del Rio somewhat maybe used it.
He pinned John Cena with it.
Yeah, he pinned John Cena with it, but now he doesn't even really use that as his main finisher. It kind of comes down to Shawn Michaels is such an iconic figure in wrestling that if anyone had this super kick as their finisher, it's kind of like, oh, you're stealing Shawn Michaels' thunder. But if everyone does it as a regular move, then everyone kind of gets away with doing the super kick. So maybe that's kind of like their loophole.
So basically the Young Bucks are right.
Yes. But if everybody stopped doing the super kick and one person had it as a finisher, I think it would take a couple months, but it would get back to that point.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can always repair the damage that was done on a move, I think. It just takes time.
And that logic can be applied to just all of the moves that are just being shared way too much, like you mentioned with the spear and all that. But yeah, I hope there comes a point in time where we sort of go back a little bit. But I think we're a little too far gone. That's just me.
Indeed.
But thank you, everybody, for being awesome, amazing, and sending those questions, as I mentioned just before them. Byte That Cast on Twitter, hashtag AskBT. But I'm not going to steal somebody's thunder because Ryan could be dead by the next podcast because that bug could be holding some kind of plague or something. So Ryan,
thanks, Juan.
This is your time to really not only just plug everything that we have, but say goodbye, man. I guess
leave your legacy here.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I probably look like the biggest wimp on this podcast because of that damn bug. But put yourself in my shoes. You're sitting here trying to do a podcast, and this giant beetle flies by your ear. You would freak out too, okay? So I'm just putting it out there. And first of all, it's January. It is freaking January. What the hell is a bug doing in my apartment right now? I want to know what's going on with that. Bugs, you're supposed to be lying low until like April. I don't want to see your ass until April, so get the hell out of here. You guys are supposed to be hibernating or whatever the hell bugs do during the winter.
That was awesome.
But besides that, make sure to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Tons of content, including this wonderful, lovely podcast, like this Thursday, where we have an SRT breaking down our pet peeves in wrestling. What are those little things that just annoy us? A bug flying by my ear really annoys me, but in WWE, what annoys us? So that was a great little discussion that you'll see on Thursday. Also, this weekend we will have some video content. Do we know yet? Juan?
Yeah, it's probably going to be a discussion video depending on what happens on SmackDown. Maybe a Lucha Underground, because I am interested in watching this. I didn't watch all of season 1, but I watched a lot of the recap videos that they did. They did a good 8-minute one that would highlighted all of season 1. So if I have time to watch it, I want to talk about it, give my experience.
Exactly. I put him on the spot there, but Juan will give you a piece of lovely content.
And Ryan's going to talk about Lucha Underground eventually. Go on, Ryan.
Baby. So for our social media,
and I'll make a beast call.
Follow us on Twitter @ByteThatCast. You can check out our Facebook, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. We're on Instagram, Byte That. Wrestling Hamino, Byte That. For everything else, you can go to ByteThat.com. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.